Special Weather News September 2025. Good day to our viewers who are following this special weather news program. Today, we bring you a comprehensive picture of the meteorological situation unfolding now and in the days ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, the United States and the Atlantic Basin are entering the peak of the 2025 hurricane season, accompanied by extreme and contrasting climate phenomena. On one hand, over the Atlantic, we are closely monitoring the formation of a new tropical cyclone that is likely to be named Gabrielle, and this storm could become one of the stronger systems of the season. On the other hand, across the U.S. mainland, dangerous heat is returning on a broad scale, while the Great Plains and Midwest are bracing for severe thunderstorms, damaging winds, large hail, and even tornadoes. This is a highly volatile weather scenario that demands heightened vigilance from communities across many regions. First, let's turn our attention to the Atlantic Ocean. At present, a massive tropical wave has just moved off the coast of Africa and is traveling into the MDR, the Atlantic's main development region. The U.S. National Hurricane Center, NHC, has officially designated this system as Invest 92L. The latest data show that the probability of this system developing into a tropical depression or tropical storm within 48 hours is 80%, and within 7 days it is nearly certain. At 90%, if this scenario materializes, the name Gabrielle will be activated on this year's tropical storm list. Invest 92L is striking because of its enormous size. Satellite imagery reveals vast bands of convection, with towering thunderstorm tops reaching high into the upper troposphere, clear signs of strong upward motion of moist air and development potential. However, its very large size presents a challenge. Oversized cyclones often struggle to consolidate a well-defined center, and the energy concentration process tends to be slower compared to more compact systems. Still, with sea surface temperatures running above average, abundant moisture, and favorable wind shear, the prospect of Gabrielle becoming a tropical storm, even a hurricane, is entirely plausible. Alongside Invest 92L, another tropical wave has just emerged from West Africa, with part of its axis still lingering over the continent. The NHC has placed this system under watch, assigning it a 20% chance of development over the next 7 days. While no defined center has formed yet, if it continues into warm waters, it could become the next candidate after Gabrielle. This signals that the Atlantic hurricane season is ramping up right on schedule as we move into the late September peak. Major forecast models all indicate that Gabrielle will soon develop. The ECMWF projection shows that within 2 to 3 days, Gabrielle may officially be named, tracking west to west-northwest before quickly curving northward, heading out to sea instead of threatening the Leeward Islands or eastern Caribbean. Toward the weekend, the storm's core may approach Bermuda. If its track shifts slightly westward, the island could feel significant impacts. Afterward, the system is expected to recurve northeastward and gradually weaken over the open Atlantic. Meanwhile, the GFS model also supports strengthening, possibly to Category 1 to 2 hurricane status, with a path southeast of Bermuda in the next 5 to 6 days. But since GFS often overblows potential Gulf of Mexico or Caribbean systems, such long-range scenarios must be treated with caution. The ICON model leans toward Gabrielle becoming a fish storm, mostly offshore with minimal land impact. Finally, ensemble runs show most tracks bending northeast, with only a few brushing close to the Bahamas or Turks and Caicos. Therefore, Bermuda stands out as the area requiring the greatest vigilance. The reason storms this year tend to head out to sea rather than strike the U.S. mainland is the weaker than normal Bermuda high. In addition, repeated troughs diving into the U.S. east have created escape routes, steering storms northward. This spares the U.S. coast but places Bermuda under increased risk. Meanwhile, closer to the U.S. east coast, a coastal low is also creating notable impacts. This system, currently just offshore of North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, and Delaware, is producing bands of heavy showers and strong gusts along the shoreline. On radar, the circulation appears almost like a small tropical storm, but it lacks the warm core structure to qualify. Even so, the effects are significant. Gusts up to 40 to 50 miles per hour across the Outer Banks and tidewater. Localized flooding from heavy rain in low-lying areas. High surf and dangerous rip currents threatening mariners and beachgoers. And cooler than normal temperatures of only 60 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit, 16 to 20 degrees Celsius, across parts of North Carolina and Virginia, unusually low for September. Turning back inland across the United States, conditions are equally concerning. In the Great Plains and Midwest, a series of troughs moving across the Rockies is fueling the development of strong thunderstorms. Residents of Nebraska, South Dakota, Colorado, and Minnesota must prepare for large hail, winds exceeding 55 miles per hour, 90 km per hour, and even a few localized tornadoes. Forecasters warn that storms may erupt quickly in the afternoon and evening, then organize into squall lines capable of producing widespread damaging winds. At the same time, dangerous heat is returning to the Midwest and Ohio Valley. Highs are projected between 90 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 32 to 38 degrees Celsius, with heat indices feeling even hotter due to humidity. This is shaping up as a late summer surge, arriving just before the official start of autumn. Across the Northeast, conditions remain relatively pleasant, dry and cool. However, ongoing drought across New England is worsening wildfire risks. By contrast, the Southeast and Florida continue to see daily thunderstorms, with South Florida especially vulnerable to flooding due to prolonged heavy rains, potentially totaling 4 to 6 inches, 100–150 millimeters, over the coming days. The western U.S. also features several highlights. Montana, Wyoming, and Colorado may see scattered thunderstorms. High mountain areas of Montana could even receive an early season dusting of snow. Meanwhile, California may draw in some Pacific moisture, delivering light showers later this weekend. Looking ahead over the next 7 to 10 days, the dominant themes are persistent heat across the central U.S. and Ohio Valley through at least September 19th, repeated thunderstorm activity over the Plains and Rockies, an increasingly active Atlantic with Gabrielle and another developing wave, and Bermuda emerging as the primary hotspot of concern. For safe preparedness, experts advise residents along the coasts of North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, and Delaware should avoid entering the ocean, secure vessels, and prepare for flooding. Communities in the Plains and Midwest must monitor severe weather alerts, identify safe shelter locations, and protect vehicles from hail. Bermuda and the Eastern Caribbean must closely track Gabrielle's progress, and those under extreme heat should minimize outdoor activities during peak midday hours. Stay hydrated, and watch for signs of heat-related illness. Ladies and gentlemen, the weather picture in mid-September 2025 is truly complex and unpredictable. On one side, we have Gabrielle, a storm on the verge of being named and potentially strengthening over the Atlantic. On the other, the U.S. mainland is enduring a dangerous blend of extreme heat and severe thunderstorms. Once again, this reminds us that weather is ever-changing, and keeping updated is essential. Thank you for following today's special weather bulletin. We wish you safety and peace, and we look forward to bringing you the latest updates in our upcoming reports.